Ladies and gentlemen, it's been far too long since we last delved into the mysterious and unexplained. I apologize for my extended absence, but sometimes life takes us on unexpected journeys. You see, I've recently embarked on an extraordinary adventure, one that involved leaving my familiar abode and venturing into the unknown. But fear not, for I have returned, armed with tales that will leave you questioning reality itself. Be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell, for you won't want to miss a single hair-raising moment. You can send your stories to verystrangeencounters@gmail.com. One problem we have been having recently is a lack of new stories to record. So, it doesn't matter if it's from your grandpa, yourself, your sister, or your cousin, we want to hear from you. Understandably, people can often be hesitant to share their encounters for fear of ridicule, but here on this channel, we know that your own experiences are all too real. Your story can also help contribute to disclosure. Just look at what's going on in Washington right now. Military and intelligence personnel are coming forward to try and force the government to admit it has been aware of the existence of aliens for a very long time now. So, don't be shy and send those stories in. Let the encounters begin. UFO Watching Me Through the Window by Loose Environment 5178. Has anyone else experienced this? I was staying with my boyfriend at his family trailer. The place has no Wi-Fi, no cable, and no service in the location. We were out in the mountains, the lovely country. So, here's my experience. I was getting ready for bed around 12 a.m. I had a feeling to look out the bedroom window, so I did, and I noticed a bright star outside the window in the sky. It wasn't there before, so I kept note of it. I told myself to check if it would still be there a couple of hours later. Me and my boyfriend were watching a movie. It was around 2 a.m. Then I remembered to check the star from earlier. I was nervous at first to look. I wasn't going to look because I don't want to see anything weird, but my curiosity got to me. I got up, checked the window, and looked in the sky. It wasn't there anymore. I went back to watching the movie anyway. Then my boyfriend started to focus his gaze outside the window at the trees in the yard. "You see that light?" he asked. I spent a moment observing the dark yard, and then I could see a light around 6 to 9 feet above the ground. It was not a flashlight because there was no light around it. It looked like an orb, hovering still and peeking in the trees. It then would blink every other 10 seconds or so. The light would go away and then come back for a minute. It stayed for at least 10 minutes or longer. I just stared at it curiously. That's when I began to wonder, what did it want from me? Why was it so close to me and my boyfriend? It was around 30 to 40 feet away from the window. I got too weirded out and decided to tell my boyfriend we should go mention this to someone else, that there was something watching us. The more people that knew, we felt safer, I guess. I was no longer curious of the UFO, and I told it with my thoughts that I wasn't comfortable with them watching so close up. I wasn't ready for anything like that yet. Luckily, my boyfriend's family are firm believers in UFOs. We decided to tell his mom what happened. I was worried she would think I was crazy, but the look on her face said otherwise. She believed me, and she actually seemed to get on edge. After we told his mom about the incident, we went back to the room just to find that the star was back in the spot where I first saw it at 12 a.m., like as if it listened to my thoughts and respected my boundaries. Me and my boyfriend witnessed this together, so I know I wasn't seeing stuff. UFOs don't want us to fear them or idolize them. They want to help us. There are plenty of crazy UFO stories that happen where I live, in British Columbia, Canada, and I've seen a lot of weird things with my boyfriend in the sky. The location I witnessed the UFO at is on highly sacred traditional indigenous land, and I am indigenous, so I don't feel like putting the exact location. I read in one of our old local newspapers that our ancestors did not like telling our UFO stories and such to public simply because we don't want to attract people to come to our land and harm it, which makes me wonder, what kind of information did my ancestors know about extraterrestrials? Imagine all the untold stories. Aunt and cousin claim they saw aliens by Silver Tadpole 6066. At the ranch my grandpa owns, they said they have seen them plenty of times, but that they can't take clear pics of them because the phone stopped working. They also said they had gotten visited from the men in black, strange men wearing all black, asking if they had seen anything unusual. My aunt said these men looked strange, pale white, and no hair, and wearing all black and black sunglasses, and told them to keep quiet. And again, they said they can't take pics of them because the phones act strange and won't let them take pictures. My aunt has an iPhone 14 Pro Max, and my cousin a Samsung 23. Both phones are capable of taking full high-definition pictures, but they said when they try, the camera app crashes and refuses to take a picture. My aunt was like, they are watching us, the government, and they know we're not supposed to take pictures of something we're not supposed to see. That's why our phones stop responding and won't let us take pictures. My aunt said 3 days ago she was doing dishes when she saw one standing outside in plain daylight. She called my cousin over, and this time my cousin brought her expensive Nikon camera, and they both had their phones charged 100%. They tried taking pictures. They weren't even scared anymore. They got mad because their phones refused, and they glitched and turned off. And so did the camera. It also didn't work. They were both arguing right there in front of the alien spacecraft. They weren't even scared of him anymore. They were just mad they couldn't take pics because the devices failed. She was telling me it's beyond frustrating because we can't get any proof of them to show the world we're not crazy. It's just that our stupid devices refuse to take pictures. I honestly want to believe them because they have no reason to lie. My grandma and grandpa also have told me they've seen them. If it really is true that they won't let themselves be photographed, that sucks. I'm planning to go down to the ranch in September for my birthday. I really hope I do see them. Not gonna lie, part of me really wants to believe and see if it's true. I believe I might be seeing extraterrestrials by Wayne from Georgia. So, I have no idea if anything that's been happening to me is true or not, but the only person I talk to about it is my girlfriend, and I just want to see if anyone else is having similar experiences. I've seen a bunch of UFOs throughout my life, once when I was around 13, and then everything else has been happening in around 2022 to now. The first one was when me, my friend, and his parents were all coming out of the house to go somewhere in central Georgia, and I saw a red orb slowly make its way across the sky very high up, and then another followed and another. It was about 30 of them in a line going across the sky. None of us knew what they were, and that was the first time I ever saw anything. The second time was a dream. I'm pretty sure, when I was younger, that I saw a craft land in my backyard. A very tall, gray being with a huge head that had a weird symbol on it walked right up to me, said, "We haven't spoken in ages," in a very friendly tone, then stuck his at least 9-inch finger into my nose and down my throat. That's all I remember from that. But for some reason, my mind remembers that vividly, and I was young when it happened, so I'm not sure what was going on. These other times have been recent. For about the last 6 or 7 months, me and my girlfriend were outside seeing if we could project our thoughts to these beings that were out there and just see if anything happens. We sat outside for around 30 minutes, asking with our minds and hearts truly to see them and just to see their crafts, to show us they were real and here. We saw a star start moving and it just went across the sky. Then 2 more appeared randomly, went across the sky right in our line of view, and we watched them disappear as well. I came outside alone for the next few nights because it made me obsessed knowing they heard us and showed us. I continued to see them anytime I asked, so I started telling my son about them, and he wanted to see their ships too. He's 10, about to be 11, and we were sitting out there. I explained to him how to contact them and how to ask. So we started doing this, and of course, 1 or 2 stars started moving around the sky, and he thought that was cool, but out of nowhere, me and him both looked into the same spot at the same time for whatever reason, and it looked like a white flash of light, or like a white hole opened up for a second, and this was the whitest light I've ever seen in my life. Me and him both jumped up and started freaking out because of what had happened. It was obvious it was something that naturally happens, and I honestly believe they showed my son so he would know I wasn't crazy, so I thanked them. One time I was going to sleep and started feeling like I was having an anxiety attack, but the worst anxiety attack I've ever felt, like my adrenaline was pumping really hard and I kept getting scared, but I didn't understand why. I closed my eyes at one point during and could still see my room, but there were 2 beings at the end of my bed that looked like children looking at me on a field trip. I couldn't move at all and felt like one was behind me, standing inside the wall behind my bed with its hand on my head, communicating but using emotions and my own thoughts to tell me to calm down. But it was like I was telling myself to calm down, and that they had to pull my astral body out of I was to go with them, but I couldn't calm down and they were gone. So I felt like either I was having sleep paralysis while awake or they were actually there. I regret not calming down to this day because I really feel like I could have went with them, but I haven't seen them again. Mental Abduction Experience by Thick McRunfast. Hello, I've been a lurker on our experiences for a few months now. I think my husband had an experience. I'll give a brief write-up of our background. I saw a sphere-shaped craft back in 2016-2017. It was metallic, large, and hovered high above the airport where I work, unmoved by the winds at altitude. I've done a write-up on this in past comments. Anyways, since then, I've been interested in the phenomenon and researched it over the past few years. I burdened my husband with a few conspiracies, but nothing so in-depth that I believe it would trigger a subconscious experience of his own. I've definitely never mentioned abductions to him. I've even dabbled in meditation, not so much for communication, but more to open my mind to a different plane. Of all people, I expected to have an experience. I expected myself, not my husband. 2 nights before the event, I was reading people's experiences on Reddit, but said nothing to my husband. I try not to bother him about it because, well, you know, LOL. Anyways, the night of the event, I woke up my husband making deep, loud, terrified whimpers, breathing in his sleep. He's seen combat, but I've never known him to do this. I woke him up thinking that it was maybe some PTSD dream or something like that. He screamed, and I asked him what on earth he was dreaming about. The only thing he said was aliens. Considering what I read 2 nights prior, I laid in bed wide-eyed, staring at the ceiling. I suddenly felt an overwhelming urge to fall asleep, kind of like that euphoric sleep you get when you drink cough medicine. Normally, I wouldn't fall asleep this easily, especially after hearing the noises he made. I figured it wouldn't hurt to say, Quit your messing around. I know you're trying to make me fall asleep. Leave my husband alone. You don't need anything from him. Just with more curse words. I looked at my Fitbit and saw it was 3:47 a.m. and then I fell asleep. In hindsight, I wish that I got up. The next day, I asked him about it. He said he felt a presence, not a person, a presence, that he was lying on his back, strapped to a table, and surrounded by blurry, shadowy beings. He could not move. The figures' presence were leaning over him. He was absolutely terrified and started to scream. That's when I woke him up. My husband is not easily shook. He's the most fearless person I've ever met. He has seen combat and is part of a special unit in the military. After I woke him up, he tried to go to sleep and still saw the figures in his mind afterward. He said it was the most terrifying dream he's ever had. I don't know if my husband had a sleep paralysis dream that was nothing but a coincidence, or if I put some kind of bullseye on his back due to my curiosity. It was a very strange phenomenon that matched a lot of stories I've read here. Anyone else have experiences like this, where they're still present in the room but abducted mentally? Experience when I was 16 by Moss Yeti. I'm honestly not sure if this was an alien or some sort of other creature, but it's something I've never forgotten. When I was 16, I was having a sleepover in my sister's room. She was in her bed and I was on a mattress on the floor. I woke up from a nightmare and found myself in what I thought was sleep paralysis at the time. There was this shadowy gray figure leaning over me from the side, shining a little red light in my eyes from a device that kind of looked like the sonic screwdriver from Doctor Who. They only shined it for a second and then stood up and moved to the end of my sister's bed, just standing there. Then they went and stood at the end of my bed. They then passed me on my left and went into my bedroom across the hall. I thought it was a dream for a moment until the figure came back and my dog, who was laying on the floor at the head of my mattress, actually moved out of the way of this figure so it could stand in his spot and look down at me. After it just stared at me for a while, it left. Shortly after, my paralysis wore off. I know it sounds like it could be just a sleep paralysis hallucination, but it's always felt so real to me. And the fact my dog moved out of the way for this creature solidified it for me. Has anyone else had similar experiences, especially with pets being okay with whatever that figure was? My experience with some sentient space object by Spiritual Neck 2957. When I was 20 years old, I went up to the roof of the apartment complex I am living in to take a breath of fresh air and stargaze, like I always do, only this time something strange happened. During this period, I was reading the Law of One material, so my idea of aliens expanded, and I was really in wonder how there might be aliens out there watching us right now and how they could read our minds, etc. I came from a Muslim background, and most of these things are seldom thought about. As I was looking up at this night sky, I decided to send a telepathic "I love you" toward the sky. I am not a psychic. All I did was think and feel "I love you," and I imagined it going up towards and into space. When this happened, after about 15 seconds or so, I saw one of the stars, a blip in the night sky, start moving around. I was astonished. My jaw dropped to the floor. I took advantage of the moment and sent another telepathic message to make sure. Go left if you can hear me. The thing goes left. OMG. Now right. Boom, it goes right. Do a circle. It took a moment, then it did a circle. After that, it recentered itself in its former position and went still just like a star. Ever since then, I could successfully recreate this interaction with a couple of more space dots or stars. I am now convinced stars are either alive or aliens or both. Reptilians by Sibylla. Is there anyone here who has had a reptilian abduction experience that can shine some light on mine? They were very interested in my blood type and a bleeding disorder I have. They said they could smell it. Also, I guess I disassociated because I was very detached from the event and was actually sarcastic the whole time. They seemed to find it amusing. I woke up to see one standing by my bed. I immediately jumped, then started trying to punch and kick the intruder. I then fell back down on the bed asleep. Next thing, I wake up in a room with a doctor pricking my finger and testing my blood. There were 4 other green and brown reptilians at the end of the bed. They had a tan-colored sleeveless shirt vest on. I did not see below the stomach on anyone. I remember they smelled terrible, and the room was hot and humid. I was sweating. The wall I could see was gray colored. I was allowed to sit up and ask the doctor what they were looking for, and he said they were testing my blood. I asked for what, and he said a specific type of the bleeding disorder I have. I asked how they knew I had it, and he said they could smell my blood type and that I had the disorder. Like I said, I must have disassociated because I felt very detached. When he said they could smell my blood, I said, if you have such a powerful sense of smell, why don't y'all take more baths? Y'all smell awful. I was expecting anger, but instead they laughed and I felt their amusement. I was a bit confused by that, but in a clinical way. Then the doctor got the results because he said what type of the disease I had and that they were looking for type 3. I said, well, I could have told you that if you had bothered to ask. Could have saved us a lot of trouble. They were amused again. I asked why they were looking for that type of blood disease and he didn't say. I woke up the next morning with a small cut on my middle finger with a bit of blood. That's the experience. Anyone hear anything like that? It seems so weird. Thanks. Edited to add, I should have mentioned this. When I got out of bed the next morning, the room was spinning and I was incredibly dizzy. I had a loud ringing in my ears. I went to the doctor and I was diagnosed with vertigo, and she said that my ear was very red and had fluid. The vertigo lasted a little over a week. At 7 days, I went back and the doctor told me my ear was bubbling and put me on antibiotics. It's been a couple of weeks and I'm still having bouts of dizziness and the room spinning. It doesn't last more than an hour. My ear is cleared up now, but the ringing is still there in my right ear. Welcome to Famous Encounters, a captivating segment of the Strange Encounters show, where we delve into some of the most renowned cases of alien abduction and UFO sightings. In this gripping series, we peel back the layers of mystery surrounding these extraordinary events, examining the accounts of those who found themselves thrust into the spotlight of the unknown. From the enigmatic tales of Roswell to the perplexing abductions of Betty and Barney Hill, we'll revisit the moments that shaped the world's perception of extraterrestrial encounters. Prepare to be spellbound as we explore the evidence, theories, and enduring questions that continue to surround these legendary incidents. So, fasten your seatbelts and brace yourself for a riveting exploration of the most well-known cases in the history of alien encounters. As we get ready to embark on a voyage through the extraordinary, we invite you to join us on this compelling journey. In this episode, we take a look at the Belgian UFO wave of the late 1980s and early 1990s. In the late 1980s, Belgium experienced one of the most intriguing and well-documented UFO waves in history. From 1989 to 1990, countless eyewitnesses, including military personnel and law enforcement officers, reported sightings of unidentified flying objects in the skies above Belgium. Referred to as the Belgian UFO Wave, this extraordinary phenomenon captivated the nation and generated international interest. Join us as we delve into the details surrounding the Belgian UFO Wave, examining the key events, investigations, and theories that have emerged over the years. The Belgian UFO Wave began on November 29, 1989, when two police officers observed a large, triangular-shaped object hovering silently above the town of Eupen. Subsequently, numerous similar sightings were reported across the country, particularly in the region between Liège and Brussels. Witnesses consistently described a black triangle with bright lights at each corner, gliding silently through the sky at low altitudes. Some witnesses claimed the object was capable of extraordinary maneuvers, such as sudden accelerations and changes in direction. Due to the high number of reports and the credibility of the witnesses, the Belgian government and military took the sightings seriously. In response, a special investigative unit called the Belgian UFO Wave Task Force was established. Comprising military personnel, police officers, and civilian experts, this team was tasked with collecting data, conducting investigations, and attempting to identify the origin of the UFOs. One of the most remarkable incidents during the Belgian UFO Wave occurred on March 30th, 1990, when two F-16 fighter jets from the Belgian Air Force were scrambled to intercept a UFO. The pilots successfully locked their radars onto the object, confirming its presence. However, as they closed in, the UFO reportedly executed an incredible maneuver, rapidly accelerating and disappearing from the screens. This incident provided solid evidence of the UFO's existence and their ability to outmaneuver advanced military aircraft. Throughout the Belgian UFO Wave, numerous witnesses came forward with detailed accounts of their encounters. Many witnesses were credible and reliable, including police officers, military personnel, and aviation professionals. Additionally, several photographs and videos were captured, although the quality and authenticity of some of the evidence remains a subject of debate. The Belgian UFO Wave attracted significant attention from both the public and the scientific community. The Belgian UFO Wave Task Force thoroughly investigated the phenomenon, consulting with experts in various fields, including radar technology and astronomy. Despite extensive efforts, no conventional explanation could account for all the reported sightings. The official conclusion of the task force was that the objects witnessed during the Belgian UFO Wave were of unknown origin and not easily explainable by conventional means. Numerous theories have been proposed to explain the Belgian UFO Wave. Some skeptics suggest that the sightings were merely misidentifications of conventional aircraft, while others attribute them to a mass hallucination or psychological phenomenon. However, these explanations fail to account for the radar confirmations and the credible witnesses who observed the objects up close. Alternative theories range from advanced military aircraft and secret technology to extraterrestrial visitations. The Belgian UFO Wave left a lasting impact on both the UFO research community and the public's perception of unidentified aerial phenomena. It inspired further investigations and heightened public interest in the subject. Today, the Belgian UFO Wave remains one of the most compelling and well-documented UFO cases in history, raising questions about the nature of these mysterious objects and the potential existence of extraterrestrial life. The Belgian UFO wave of the late 1980s and early 1990s remains an enigmatic and captivating chapter in the history of UFO sightings. Despite rigorous investigations, the exact nature and origin of the objects witnessed during this period remain elusive. The Belgian government's serious response to the phenomenon, along with the credible witnesses, radar confirmations, and photographic evidence, lends substantial weight to the reality of the sightings. The Belgian UFO wave continues to intrigue researchers, fueling ongoing debates and speculation about the existence of unidentified flying objects and their implications for humanity. And that concludes another mind-blowing episode of Strange Encounters. We hope you enjoyed this extraordinary dive into the realm of the unexplained. If you're hungry for more astonishing stories and want to support the channel, there are several ways you can help us continue to bring you the best content. In the description below this video, you'll find links to our Patreon, buymeacoffee.com, and PayPal Donate. Every contribution, no matter how big or small, goes a long way in fueling our exploration of the strange. And at the risk of sounding like a broken record, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel to stay up to date with the latest strange encounters, because that stuff really helps a lot. And if you haven't already, hit that notification bell so you never miss a spine-tingling story. We want to express our heartfelt gratitude to our incredible community of truth seekers who make Strange Encounters possible. Your engagement, comments, and sharing of our videos helps us grow and reach a wider audience of fellow explorers. If you have your own strange encounter, or you know someone who does, please send them to verystrangeencounters@gmail.com. We'd be honored to feature your stories and continue expanding our ever-growing tapestry of the unexplained. Thank you again for joining us on this incredible journey. Until next time, keep your eyes on the skies, your mind open, and remember, the truth really is out there.